Hello, this is Daniel. I just wanted to give you guys a quick video on a couple different things and some Eskrima warm-ups and things you can practice at home and work on some basic fundamentals. Today's video, kind of a start of everything for everybody in our Facebook group. Just wanted to give you guys a few different basics to think about, starting from footwork to combining the footwork to basic strikes, and then talking about the different blocks that we have, the three main blocks that we have, and focusing on some fundamental details. So this is going to be geared a little bit more towards the beginners, but at the same time, I do want to give you guys a couple different things you can pick up the heart rate a little bit more at home with, and we'll start with that in the footwork. So the first thing I want to cover is just getting into our basic stance. Retrata caballero, which is the shuffle step footwork, working my basic stance, and just a couple things here. Remember that when we're in our good solid base, we want to make sure that the feet are hip width distance apart. It's like we're standing on train tracks. So you have the space in between here, as you guys can see in the camera. And my back heel is up off the ground with the front foot flat, but also planted into my stance. So I want you guys to maintain this thing the whole time. So if you watch, when I go forward, back, left, and right on the shuffle step or retrata caballero, I'm making sure that the feet stay the same distance apart the whole time. Now it's hard to see because you're not in my position, you can't look straight down, but watch how my feet never change from this distance widthwise, but also from the side here. When I take a step and elongate or follow, I'm making sure that both feet are moving the same distance and maintaining that stance. So again, the structure of it, as we're talking about it, this is the first variation. Single forward and back from retrata caballero. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Then we have left and right. So with this, covering the basic footworks, I'm just shuffling left, shuffling right. Again, I'm not cross-stepping right now. I'm just making sure both feet are planted in the good solid stance so I don't tip over. Right now I'm in an open or bukas position, just staying nice and strong, left and right. So you guys can practice, however many times you want, 20, 50 times each direction, forward, back, left, right. Then you can play it together. So you might go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or just keep it 1, 2, 1, 2, forward and back first, then left, right. From here, to get comfortable with it, same thing, keeping the same rhythm in the footwork. Every time I come forward, we're just going to use the basic Ika strike, so the number 1 and number 4 angle in a flow every time I step forward, back, left, or right. So in this, I'm just going to go forward and back. I'm going to Ikas coming forward, Ikas going back, Ikas forward, Ikas back. Now I'm doing it a little quickly, but I'm making sure I'm hitting the same spot every single time. If I were imagining a target right in front of me, I want to hit the target's temples on both sides, the number 1 forehand angle, and the number 4 backhand angle to the temple as well. So this is happening as I step back and as I step forward, finishing the footwork and initiating on the start. Resetting in the open position. Same thing left and right. 1, 2, 1, 2. Or technically 1, 4, 1, 4. And as you know, for more advanced students, right now I'm working just the basic Ikas with just just more of a flowing variation. You guys can play in many different ways. When you do kind of a long figure 8, or you guys can cut it short and make it short. Here this way, pop, pop, kind of like what I'm doing. So just in the keeping it simple though, for more of the beginner students, just focus on hitting the same target every single time, working that footwork. Now we go into a Trasana Bhante. So Trasana Bhante, with the forward and back, I'm basically going to do my shuffle footwork. It's a little bit, not loose, but a little bit more flowing now. I keep my head on the same level so it doesn't bounce. And this is what, when I was taught this, is always keeping the head like on a shelf. So it's never bouncing up and down, you're smacking your chin on the shelf. You want to keep it in the same spot. So when I'm moving forward and back, without the striking, is I'm stepping forward and stepping back. Right now, because of the space I have and with the distance to the camera, I don't want to get too far forward or back so you guys can still see me, but I'm working in and out, circling the hands, keeping the footwork smooth, but notice my head doesn't change in elevation. I'm not bouncing up and down like this. I'm keeping myself low and centered, circling the hands in, and stepping with that shuffle step, forward and back. In and out. Again, same idea. I keep my back foot live. I'm on the ball of the foot. And now we do the same thing left and right. So we did the Trasana Bante going forward, while also doing it sideways. I do cut off on the camera. You guys know how to get the idea. Now, this is where, as we're stepping, I always like to talk about it as like you're walking forward and back. Just like this. I put my front foot forward, bend my knees, get in my stance, and now I'm not crossing my feet intentionally too much, but since it's a little more free flowing, I can kind of cut it off a little bit and just work more on speed. Left and right. Same idea. From here, I'm working through, and then we add the strikes. So forward and back. Once you get the footwork down, you can add the ikas going forward, ikas going back. Hitting again the same spot, temple, temple. And the same thing, left and right. And as you guys can tell, due to the confines of the camera, I am cutting it short, but use as much space as you can at home and swing through. So again, what we just went over, Vichara Caballero, forward, back singles, left, right singles, then a Trasana Bante, going forward, back, left, right. Now, another basic footwork that we always show, and especially for the beginners, I usually cover this on Sundays quite a bit, is working through just the Vichara Eskrima. So this is a basic back step. So if you watch me from my stance, from here, my left foot chips back. Vichara Eskrima, I'm taking a big step back with my front foot, step back in, and then chip step with this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Do a couple times so you can see from a couple different angles. Now, what's important is as I'm doing this, watch this left foot. This is easily overlooked. I do chip step back first, then on the second step I swing the foot back. Step forward and then chip. Step back and then chip. Here. Chip, step, step, and then chip step. 1, 2, 2, 1. 1, 2, 2, 1. This is really important to move this foot. The reason being is if I don't move this leg and someone is striking maybe at my front knee, they may miss because I'm stepping this foot back, right? But if I don't move this foot back in time, what's going to happen is, let's say they go for the first target, but if they can't hit the first target, what's next? The back knee. So if that back knee is a move and they're reaching out and trying to hit it, you know, sometimes you can't tell, especially with the weapon in the hand. You just want to take that extra step and be cautious. Step back anyways, so we'll miss your knee altogether. So 1 and 2, 2 and 1. So as we're working through this, this is the first of 3 variations, and we're just going to stop there for now. But the Vichara Eskrima is that back step, making sure my back heel stays up at all times when I do the step. And then, as I said earlier, chipping the foot back in a 1, 2, 2, 1 motion. The 2 being my right foot, 1 being my left foot. 1, 2, 1, 2. Again from the side. 1, 2, 1, 2. Still in a focus position and open. From here, so you guys get the idea. Now, we add the strike into this. So you guys can play this in a couple different ways. When I shadow box this at home and kind of play around with it, I like to think of it first off as kind of a counter. So when someone's striking me to my knee, I can step back and ikas. Step back, ikas. Again, hitting the same spot every time. Being accurate. And again, because I want to explain this, to make sure that we understand the accuracy, when I say hit the same spot, it's to the temple, but you're hitting with the last 4 inches of the stick. So you have that as a focus and as a target. So if I'm hitting here, I don't want to hit the target but then smacks the middle of the stick. Doesn't make any sense, right? All the power comes in for the last few inches. So I want to make sure I hit that same spot with the tip, where all that power is. So when I'm doing the illustrisimo, 1, 4, or Ikis. Ikis is a step back. Same thing. Look at this foot, or you see from the side, my left foot. Stepping back. Or, alternatively, step back first, then follow with the strike. So, 2 different ways. This is the second. And then the first, as I step back, I counter. The second, I step back first, and then follow up, coming in. Pop, pop. 1, 4. 1, 4. You guys get the gist of it. So this is the basic idea of the footwork, and just talking about some of the fundamentals. Now, one of the things that I want to go over right now, just to cover some of the basic blocks, and in the next video we'll probably talk a little bit more about the different strikes and all the different 12 angles, as most of you guys know, especially if you're the more advanced students. We cover this all the time in class. But for the blocks, this is something I want to go over because there's a lot of little mistakes that people make during this time when they first learn it. This is the first thing. So the talon vertical strike, which is the first vertical block we learn, is coming from the center to off the side. So this is the first one. The second one is the sombrado block, or roof block. The third one is the pluma, or pen block, from the side. So covering the talon vertical first, my hand shoots out across my center line. You notice from, let's say I start from bukas or open position, I shoot out with my hips and shoulders to bring power, and I'm shielding the whole left side of my body. Notice that it's not here to where my left elbow and shoulder is exposed. I get it out just enough with the turn of my shoulders here to have this frame and structure. The head, or excuse me, the tip of the stick is above my head. Those last 4 inches I talked about earlier where you're striking with should be covering just a little bit past your head here, just in case they throw the strike and say it's a number 1 angle, and I do block it here, but if they go over my block and strike me in the head, that's no good, right? I just want to have a little bit of leeway or a little bit of insurance up here as well. Now, with the talon vertical block, I shoot it out and we shadow box this. The hand is behind the stick to keep for frame and structure, but also learning that I don't want my elbow out here. I want to keep it in front. So in talon vertical, 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. So again, the 2 details. The stick is above the head or the tip of the stick, and then the hand is behind the weapon, and I'm covering, making sure that my elbow, if I bring my stick back here, see how it's not touching my elbow? If I do this, that's no good, because that's also another target. Because if I block like this, look at how my elbow is exposed. That's the target as well, right? So I want to keep everything behind, so the frame is here. That's number 1. So this is the talon vertical block. Sombrado, we have the roof block, turning off to the side. Notice the angle of the stick is 45 degrees down, and I'm making sure the hand, this is number 1, is not here, because again, the weapon hand or our extremities are also targets, not just our body or head, right? So I want to make sure I off-angle this. Most of the time, this is a strike that's coming straight down towards the crown of the head or towards the center. So I put my hand down my center line. That's the first target they hit, right? So I want to off-angle it to where the stick is covering the head, and look what I do with my body. It's not just this, and then I just throw the block up. Even here, I can't even reach my wrist. So proper form is I turn my shoulder forward, duck underneath, look at my heel, and then my left hand is underneath the wrist, so I'm blocking under, and this is ready for a check. Just like the talon vertical, we're having this ready here for a hand placement or check. This is the same thing with the sombrado, straight down the center. This hand's up here for shadow boxing and for form. I shoot it up, but it's there for a hand grab. So we start one more time. Up, look at my feet, and down. So 1, and come back down. Now I'm in a closed position, so I'm coming up from here. You can also practice from here, but I generally just like to cross it up from here and make it easy. So one more time, sombrado. Pluma, same exact idea with the hand. So if we start, this is number 1. I don't want this to be down my center, because this can technically block us straight down to the crown strike as well, number 12. So I want to make sure it's off center here, again with the stick covering me. And then notice now, instead of leaning forward, I lean back a little bit. I'm in more of a cat stance. This is to lean back, pull the stick down 45, but also notice how it's out 45 as well. This is for frame and structure. If my stick is back here, someone hits me, this is all wrist that's protecting or trying to resist against that strike, and I'm not really covering everything, right? And this is really weak. But if I pull it out here at a 45-degree angle and tighten my fist a little bit, now is so much more power here because I have my whole body and the frame of my whole arm to block this backhand strike. So coming from, again, an open position or closed, but open or closed, I just drop this tip of the stick down, bring it up, I'm looking over my bicep here, and this is a really key thing, so that way again, number one, don't keep the stick down here, make sure it's off center, then I'm pointing it out 45 and down 45 to keep this structure, okay? So again, down vertical, sombrata, and then pluma. Rewind the video if you need the details. I'm talking a lot with this, but this is really important. 1, 2, and 3. Down vertical, sombrata, and then pluma. You can practice it just like that. To isolate the block, I'd recommend doing 15, 20 repetitions in each one. Looking yourself in the mirror is really key. And then 2, we do 10, 20 repetitions on the sombrata, making sure I have all those details down. Then we have the pluma, same thing, all those details. Then you play it together. You might go 1, 2, and then 3. 1, 2, and then 3. 1, 2, and then 3. And really just kind of get the body mechanics behind it. So there's a lot more detail to this, but I just want to keep it simple for the most part, but keep it thorough on some of the basics and the techniques, and really making sure you guys understand the basic fundamentals. We'll be posting some more videos out soon and just talking a little bit more about how to kind of get the more huffing and puffing going and to kind of push the heart rate a little bit with the Eskrima, so keep an eye out for that. But that concludes today's lesson. Hope you guys are staying safe, you guys are being well, and we hope to see you guys in class really soon. Thank you.